Chapter 20. Farid had warned me. He had, but, as it turned out, he had wasted his breath. We were driving down the cluttered road that went from Jalalabad to Kabul. The last time I traveled that road was in a tarpaulin-covered truck going the other way. Baba had nearly gotten himself shot by a singing, stone-rosy officer. Baba had made me so mad that night, so scared and ultimately so proud. The track between Kabul and Jalalabad, a bone-herring ride down a teetering pass, snaking through the rocks, had become a relic now, a relic of two wars. 20 years earlier, I had seen some of the First War with my own eyes. Grim reminders of it were strewn along the road, burned carcasses of old Soviet tanks, overturned military trucks gone to rust, a crushed Russian jeep that had plunged over the mountainside. The Second War. I had watched on my TV screen, and now I was seeing it through Farid's eyes. Swerving effortlessly around potholes in the middle of the broken road, Farid was a man in his element. He had become much shadier since our overnight stay at Wahid's house. He had me sit in the passenger seat and look at me when he spoke. He even smiled once or twice. Maneuvering the steering wheel with his mangled hand, he pointed to Mud Hut village along the way where we had known people years before. Most of those people, he said, were either dead or in refugee camps in Pakistan. And sometimes the dead are luckier, he said. He pointed to the crumbled, short remains of a tiny village. It was just a tuft of blackened, roofless walls now. I saw a dog sleeping along one of the walls. I had a friend there once, Farid said. He was a very good bicycle repairman. He played the table too well too. The Taliban killed him and his family and burned the village. We drove past the burned village and the dog didn't move. In the old days, the drive from Jalalabad to Kabul took 2 hours, maybe a little more. It took Farid and me over 4 hours to reach Kabul, and when we did, Farid warned me just after we passed the Mahipur Dam. Kabul is not the way you remember it, he said. So I hear. Farid gave me a look that said hearing is not the same as seeing. And he was right, because when Kabul finally did unroll before us, I was certain, absolutely certain, that he had taken a wrong turn somewhere. Farid must have seen my stupid expression shuttling people back and forth to Kabul. He could have become familiar with that expression on the faces of those who hadn't seen Kabul for a long time, baby. He patted me on the shoulder. "Welcome back," he said, morosely. Rubble and beggars. Everywhere I looked, that I saw. I remember beggars in the old days too. Baba always carried an extra handful of Afghani bills in his pocket just for them. I've never seen him deny a peddler. Now, though, they squatted at every street corner, dressed in shredded burlap rags, mud cake held out for a kind, and the burglars were mostly children now, thin and green-faced, some no older than 5 or 6. They sat in the laps of their burqa-clad mothers alongside gutter at bus streets corners and chanted backshish, backshish. And something else, something I hadn't noticed right away. Hardly any of them sat with an adult male. The wars had made fathers a rare commodity in Afghanistan. We were driving westbound toward the Kurdish district on what I remember as a major thoroughfare in the 70s. Yadeh, my one, just north of us, was the bone-dry Kabul River. On the hills to the south stood the broken old city wall. Just east of it was the Bala Hissar Fort, the ancient citadel that the warlord Dustin had occupied in 1992. On the shore there was a mountain range, the same mountains from which Mujahideen force had showered Kabul with rockets between 1992 and 1996, inflicting much of the damage I was witnessing now. The sheer there was a range stretched all the way west. It was from those mountains that I remember the firing of the topic shaft, the noon cannon. It went off every day to announce noontime, and also to signal the end of daylight, fasting during the month of Ramadan. You will hear the roar of the cannon all through the city in those days. I used to come here to Harem when I was a kid, I mumbled. There used to be shops here and hotels, neon lights and restaurants. I used to buy kites from an old man named Saifo. He ran a little kite shop by the old police headquarters. The police headquarters is still there, Farid said. No shortage of police in the city, but you won't find kites or kite shops on Jeddah Maiwan or anywhere else in Kabul. Those days are over. Yadeh Maiwan had turned into a giant sand castle. The buildings that hadn't entirely collapsed barely stood, with cave-in roofs and walls speared with rocket shells. Entire blocks had been obliterated to rubble. I saw a bullet pocket sign half buried on an angle in a heap of debris. It read, "Drink Coca-Cola. Drink Coca-Cola." I saw children playing in the ruins of a windowless building amid huge stumps of brick and stone. Bicycle riders and mule-drawn carts swerved around kids, stray dogs, and piles of debris. A haze of dust hovered over the city, and across the river a single plume of smoke rose to the sky. "Where are the trees?" I said. "People cut them for the firewood in the winter," Farid said. "The Shirawi cut a lot of them down too, baby." "Why?" "Snipers used to hide in them." A sadness came over me. Returning to Kabul was like running into an old, forgotten friend and seeing that life hadn't been good to him, that he would become homeless and destitute. My father built an orphanage in Sher Khana, the old city south of here, I said. "I remember it," Farid said. "It was destroyed a few years ago." "Can you pull over?" I said. "I want to take a quick walk here." Farid parked along the curb on a small back street next to a ramshackle abandoned building with no door. That used to be a pharmacy, Farid muttered as we exited the truck. We walked back to Hareb Mewan and turned right, heading west. What's that smell? I said. Something was making my eyes water. Diesel, Farid replied. The series generators are always going down, so electricity is unreliable, and people use diesel fuel. Diesel, remember what this street smelled like in the old days? Farid smiled. Kebab. Lamb kebab, I said. Lamb, Farid said, testing the word in his mouth. The only people in Kabul who get to eat lamb now are the Taliban. He pulled on my sleeve. Speaking of which, a vehicle was approaching us. Bird patrol, Farid murmured. That was the first time I saw the Taliban. I had seen them on TV, on the internet, on the cover of magazines and in newspapers, but here I was now, less than 50 feet from them, telling myself that the sudden taste in my mouth wasn't unadulterated. Naked fear, telling myself my flesh hadn't suddenly shrunk against my bones and my heart wasn't buttering. Here they came, in all their glory. The red Toyota pickup truck idled past us. A handful of stern-faced young men sat on their haunches in the cab, Kalashnikovs slung on their shoulders. They all wore beards and black turbans. One of them, a dark-skinned man in his early 20s with thick knitted eyebrows, threw a whip in his hands and rhythmically swatted the side of the truck with it. His warming eyes fell on me, held my gaze. I never felt so naked in my entire life. Then the tall spat tobacco stained spittle and looked away. I found I could breathe again. The truck rolled down Yarek Mewen, leaving in its trail a cloud of dust. What is the matter with you? Farid hissed. What? Don't ever stare at them. Do you unstar me? Never. I didn't mean to, I said. Your friend is quiet, right? Aga. You might as well poke a rabid dog with a stick, someone said. These new boys belong to an old beggar sitting barefoot on the steps of a bullet-square building. He wore a threadbare chapan worn to frayed shreds and a dirt-crushed turban. His left eyelid dropped over an empty socket. With an archaic hand, he pointed to the direction the red truck had gone. They drive around looking and hoping that someone will provoke them. Sooner or later, someone always obliges. Then the dog's fist on the day's burden is broken at last, and everyone says, Allah Akbar. And one of those days when no one offends, well, there is always random violence, isn't there? Keep our eyes on your feet when the tourists are near, Farid said. Your friend dispenses good advice, the old beggar chimed in. He barked a wet cock and spat in a soiled handkerchief. Forgive me, but could you spare a few Afghans? He breathed. Bas, let's go, Farid said, pulling me by the arm.